Hello, YouTubers. Sorry about the wind. It's a little windy today, but this is the last panel that I just completed. It's outside. It's working. I don't have it mounted up on the rack yet. I gotta straighten up a few things up there so that make a little room for it. And there's my Harbor Freight panels. But currently, it's working perfect. Thanks to Wrangle Plus. This is his little technique. You know, I got, like I said, I got grade B cells. You know, I didn't use what that would be, a connector in the back like normal. Kind of jerry rigged it, but the line goes down, runs there, goes up, squeezes through there, go back down, up, so forth, and then they both come out here, and I got it screwed down over here so that the wind can't move it, but the little connectors, they come in through the back here, and this is the wire running to the charge controller. Currently, I have like basically 3 charge controllers. The Harbor Freight one, which isn't hooked to that, it's hooked to the 2 little panels over here, a 5 and a 10 watt, and they run through that big old hooter wire, because that wasn't originally supposed to stay like that. And then a 60 amp MPPT and a 20 amp MPT. Pretty much this one and everything on this rack up here, with the exception of the one at the bottom corner, is running on the 60 amp one. And this bottom corner one is one I made using the seal guard, along with this other one over here using seal guard. And then now this one right here, not using seal guard, but using 2 pieces of glass sandwiched between. Now I didn't use any spacers or anything. I pretty much, after I laid the cells down, you know, a couple of them I glued in place here and there in the corner to make sure they stayed, and ran my silicone in between each row, just like Wrangle Plus told me to. And then I laid the other sheet of glass directly on top of that. Now, I'm assuming because the weight was all spread out, it didn't crush any cells, but I wanted to make sure that the space between the 2 pieces of glass was as minimal as possible. And then a couple of days later, I went through and sealed up the edges, put them in the frames, and silicone the heck out of that too. Now, the one problem that I did run into, and when I went to Lowe's, that's where I got these sheets of glass at, was from Lowe's. They're not tempered or anything, but they were about $17 and some odd cents a piece, so close to about 40 bucks for both pieces of glass. And it's 36 inches tall, which is our maximum, and 27 inches wide, which I probably went a little bit too wide on that. Reason being is when I tried to silicone the sides over here, I couldn't get the silicone to go all the way up and touch with the edges of the cells like I wanted to. You can see here well, I don't know if you can see here, but you can see where I forced, and it was just too much work just to get that much of it over there. So I didn't really worry about it all the way around. I sealed it up as best as I could, and I'm hoping for the best right now. So in the future, either A, spread your cells out a little further if you want to do that. That way you make sure you got your inch around here and don't cover up with your frame there. And don't do like I did and overshoot with that. But the poor guy, he was having problems cutting the glass, so I gave him a little bit of break. But as far as the output, like I said, I paid $22.50 for a set of 42 cells, which came with 2 bonus cells, which was 44, and it was like $7.99 for shipping, so roughly 30 bucks for the cells for this thing. And of course, that was with no timing wire and stuff. I already had a flux pin from a previous order that I had, so maybe another 10 bucks for the tabbing wire and all that. And everybody is talking about having a 80 watt or whatever soldering gun. Well, I went to Harbor Freight and got a 30 watt for roughly about $4. You know, it was a cheapie. And it would work real well for the 1.5 millimeter tabbing wire, but unfortunately this is the 2 millimeter. And I did have a little bit of problems getting it to stay heated up, and it took a lot longer. But if you're using 2 millimeter tabbing wire, then yeah, 30 watt would be a little bit weak, but if you're using the regular tabbing wire, which most everybody does, that comes with the kits and stuff, then that 30 is plenty, because the last set that I got tabbed, which are 6x6 cells, I haven't, got that underway yet, but because I wanted to test this theory with the cheap cells first before I, tried it with my $70 cells. But the output is also, by the way, used, like I said in my previous video, I used 40 cells instead of 36, being that it's homemade. The other two homemade ones, they're 40 cells as well. My output open circuit was 22.5, which should be 20 whenever they're under a load. The amperage was a little lower than I was hoping for. It was only 3.48 with short circuit current, which, they're rated for 3.6, but because these are grade B and, some of them are missing little pieces, I think this is actually the worst one right here. All in all, pretty good cell. If you add up those numbers, I think it came out to be like a 78 watt panel, being that it's 20 volts instead of 18 volts, and so 22.5 open circuit and 3.48 short circuit. Now today it's kind of overcast right now. That was in full sunlight, that's conditions, I guess. But right now I got it screwed down on the board right there, screwed up there to that little rinky-dinky thing. And that and the other two homemade panels there and there, they all connect with this ghetto wire that I rigged up, and they run into their own little MPPT controller, which takes the 20 volts instead of 18, and that helps it with that. It's another reason why I went ahead and put the 4 extra cells in there. So there's my update. We'll see how this goes. I'm not sure exactly how long I'm going to wait before I declare it a complete success, but as of right now, it is doing its job, and it is doing it well.